Oke. Hello, everybody. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the new rigging reveal? Hello, Lilac. Thank you for redeeming your park entrance. Alrighty. Hang on, let me just double check to make sure everything's good. Alright. Hang on. Hang on. Give me a second. My head shot up here hearing your voice. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, that's adorable. Alright, you guys ready? And... ta-da! Yay! So this is my new rigging. Yeah, this is my new rigging. So it's one of the reasons why I was like a little bit late. I was trying to fuck with V-Bridger, right? So I was trying to fuck with V-Bridger, and I can't. Yeah, no. Nifty Nix did an amazing job on this. So it's supposed to connect with V-Bridger. However, it doesn't want to connect with it. Yeah, so now the lip tracking is a lot more smoother. And best thing about this is that I can smile now. Sort of. Well, sort of. But no, I can definitely smile now. Yeah, now I got teeth. But yeah, no, so hang on, let me shout out Nyx here. Now, the other thing though is that it's gonna be hella smooth once I actually get this thing to connect to V-Bridger. Good enough to bite and yeah, no, like oh no, I will 100% bite you. I will 100% bite you. But no, so how it went was that, oh god, I am lagging. Hang on for a split second. You know what? Hang on real quick. It's not connected to V-Bridger, so hang on. Give me a split second here. Give me a second here. So I have this thing set up to Wi-Fi instead of USB. So give me a split second here, guys. Just hang tight, everybody. There we go. Okay. Much better. Okay. There we go. Hey, Ranma, how you doing? But yeah, so how Nyx did it. So the story went was that my original rigger, Kumi did a good job. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and dog on Kumi. I'm not. I'm 100% not gonna do that. So she did a good job, right? She did a good job. Is it up there with the elites? Not by a long shot. But for what she did, for what Kumi did, she did okay. She did a decent job at rigging this model, right? Also, hi Scorpy, thank you for redeeming your park entrance. So what happened was that when my Kaiser outfit was ready to be rigged, I asked Kumi, I was like, hey, do you by chance have room to rig a new outfit? And then she told me flat out like, hey, I got stuff going on in my personal life, and I don't know if I will be able to, I don't know if I'll be able to do any, like, rigging commissions anymore. So I was like, fuck. Okay. Fuck. Okay. Also, nice. Let's go, Ranma. I thought about getting that. I honestly thought about getting that myself. I don't know. I might. I'll just see how. Let me first see how the bills are going first, and then I will. But no, like, that's really cool, though. So, how it went was that I was just like, okay, well, fuck. Okay. All right. Too easy. So, what happened was that I then had to go around and start looking for, I had to start looking around for more, riggers. And so, I was talking to my friend Raru, I was talking to, Terra Raizu, and I was bit-bopping around, and everyone was so nice. When I told everyone about my story, they were all so nice about it. I mean, Raru, she basically dumped like an entire grocery list worth of riggers. She was recommending me the ones that rigged her models. She was recommending me this rigger, that rigger, this rigger, that rigger, this rigger, that rigger, this rigger, and this person. You know, she was just going down the line. Right? And she was just 100% going down the line. And then I looked towards Terra Raizu. No, actually, no. Terra was the one that technically reached out to me because she commented on my post about my rigging situation. And so we were in the talks, and I was almost tempted to reach out to take up Terra's offer, because she was just flat out honest, right? She was flat out honest, like, hey, I got a lot of stuff going on, but here's my prices. I can squeeze you in. Like, she was such a sweetheart about it. Like I love Terra. Like, she was an absolute sweetheart. But it was just, her prices are very, very high. Her prices are very high. And I was like, well, shit, that is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. And I didn't want, because Terra's already busy. Like, Terra is already, like, super mega busy. And I didn't want to hold her up, because she's got so many other VTuber children that she's got to work on. And I just didn't want to, and I just didn't want to, like, hold her up, because I would sit there and be like, okay, well, even if I did, like, a payment plan that is relatively reasonable for me, it wouldn't be fair for her, right? It would not be fair for her. So I turned her down, and and then I went to my original 2.0 rigger, who did Dandy Demon and a couple of other people. And his prices increased, which is honestly, to be fair. And again, no shade at anybody here, right? I'm not throwing any shade. I'm just saying, like, a lot of these people were, they were a little bit out of my wheelhouse. So I was like, okay, well, fuck. Okay. No for now, but we will put a little bit on a cap on that one. We'll put a bookmark on that one. We'll get around to that one. And so I was talking to Nyx. Actually, no, I think Nyx actually, very, as sly as she is, she was like, hey, I can probably do the rigging for maybe about, $300. I was like, deal. And you could do V-Bridger stuff as well. She's like, yeah. So, Nyx got the job. And the rigging went, so she didn't want payment towards the rigging. So my payment towards her rigging, was towards her Switch 2. So I honestly thought that was kind of funny. So I helped pay for her Switch 2. She helps me, she does the rigging for me. And then, she worked pretty quick. No, she worked very, very quick. And so, here we are. And also, I don't know if you noticed on my neck, but I do have a dog tag now. So it's a lot more in line with my military service. because there was gonna be another. Yeah, it's really nice. So there was gonna be another necklace, right? There was gonna be another necklace. It was gonna be some kind of crystal, whatever, whatchamajigger kind of necklace, and it's tied to someone who is no longer, and thankfully no longer, in my life. Thank fucking Christ. So now I was like, okay, well, I want to get rid of this necklace, but I want to replace it with a dog tag. And Enyel was like, deal. So now I have a dog tag. Now also, this is not my final 2.0. Now, Nyx did send me, Nyx did send me the proper 2.0 model, fully rigged, because there was some bugs. So yeah, there were some bugs going on, and so this is basically the semi-finished 2.0. I just haven't gotten around to setting everything up, which I will after the stream. Mainly it involved my fall outfit, just because the feathers for that just didn't work. It looks kind of weird. So once the stream is done, I'm gonna switch them around. So, but yeah, no. So right now I'm not using VBridger. I'm just using just the regular iPhone. And honestly, this is actually really good. Sorry, my head itches. No, but right now this is really good. Like, this is honestly genuinely really good. Now, I did kind of sneak in a couple of new redeems for you guys. So I do it now. I now have a shirtless toggle, and I also have a hair down toggle as well. So let me actually see here real quick. Let me see here. I'm just trying to make sure that I have this all set up. Oh, yeah, here we go. So we got hair down. So this is 2.0 with the hair down, which is something I wanted since the beginning. All right, so this is what I actually wanted to do with my 2.0 model since like the very beginning. I just never got around to until like recently. And for Daddy Twitch's, now for Daddy Twitch's safety, right? For Daddy Bezos's safety, because I'm not a IRL cam model. I can't get away with this without any context. But I have a redeem now called Quivering Abs, which actually does show off my... So hang on, if I do that... And there we go. There we go. Like, I do have to emphasize on this for Daddy Bezos, because again, I am not a an IRL cam model or a cam streamer. So I can't really get away with this kind of stuff if I put it down towards my hips, because if I do that, that looks kind of sus. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of sussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when I got my arms down. It looks a little sus. I mean, like, look, I am 100% not naked. I'm 100% not naked here. But yeah, no, like, I'm just showing this stuff off for free today. But yes, no, so if you look down here, I have two new redeems. So they both have a 3 to 5 minute cooldown. And they are about 1,000 bits. They're not 1,000 bits, 1,000 channel points. So there you go. But no, right now I'm just kind of showing these. And also, I can do shirtless with the jacket on. I could do that
Huh?
with the jacket on.
Oh yeah, so hot.
Who goes there? Zap! Whoa!
With
a wave of my finger and a flick of my dick, one zap from me will kill you quick. So get on your knees to suck and blow, but not right now. I've got to go.
Fuck, I hate when he rhymes.
But yeah, so I can now do that with the jacket on. And the dog tag comes off too. So, but no, I do have to like emphasize on that just because it's like no Daddy Bezos. Oh God. Yeah, it's like no Daddy Bezos. I am not naked. I'm not naked. Yeah, so like, okay, so the funny thing about this, right? So the funny thing about this about this toggle, right? So the funny thing about this toggle, so I was talking to some people, right? And I was like, you know, I have a very, very attractive model, right? I do have a pretty attractive model. I'm not going to sit there and deny that, right? I'm not going to sit here and deny that kind of shit. So I want to leave ink prints. Oh, please do. Leave all the ink prints you want. You're not naked. You're just Super Saiyan. I am, yes. Just all over. So I have a very attractive model. And I never really, I guess it kind of boils down to like, I just never had the confidence to just sit there and go full blown, shirtless. You know what I'm saying? But then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Just fuck it. I am 100% going to do it. And I am like, okay, well, I'm going to actually just pull the trigger and just get a shirtless toggle, which I wanted to do this kind of toggle since like, oh God. I think it was last year, actually. I think it was like last year I wanted to do a shirtless toggle and I just never got around to it. Right. So, and let's see here. So there we go. Just so that way I don't get spanked for this. Yeah, just so that way I don't get spanked for this. But I am going to leave the hair down for the remainder of the stream just because I do kind of like this. I'm not going to lie. And also the best thing about this, chat, right? So the best thing about this. So let me actually show you guys real quick. So Nyx changed a good bit of things. Right? So Nyx changed a good few bit, right? So in the original 2.0 model, the tail was very, very awkward. It just flowed as one solid piece rather than it just being like a flowing kind of tail. And it looked very, very stiff. So Nyx basically undid all of that. So she basically undid all that and made it into like an actual tail. Now with Kumi, she was very much, I think she was more used to rigging women, right? So I think she was more used to rigging women, which is fine. However, my original 2.0 model, the original rigging for the 2.0 model, had it to where whenever I would look down, my legs would kind of bow in just a little bit, and I would call that the princess squat. And so now, whenever I want to look down, it doesn't do that anymore. And also, the arms also don't really flow like they did in the 2.0 one. They weren't so loosey-goosey. They weren't so loosey-goosey, and they weren't so jiggly. So again, I think it just had to boil down to just Kumi really just, I think she was more used to like rigging women more than guys. But yeah, no, like I am absolutely loving this new outfit or this new rigging, because like on my stream deck alone has all my outfits. It has 100% all of my outfits. And the other thing about this is that I will be debuting my summer outfit. So I will be debuting my summer outfit here proper, and I'm gonna make an announcement about this tomorrow. But I will be debuting my summer outfit on the... Let me see here. I will be debuting. I will be debuting my summer outfit on the 12th of June. Yeah, no, like, it's gonna be great. Like, it's really gonna be great. And then my Kaiser outfit, which is the big one, that one will be debuting on my anniversary. So, yay. I'm very excited about that, because now I can finally actually stream on my anniversary. Because normally, every single fucking time I tried to stream on my anniversary, I can't because of military duty. For right now, for the time being, I don't have military duty as of right now. So. Let me see here, because I believe I debuted on the 12th of August, I want to say. So, okay, so probably not on, again, no, so probably not on my debut. So probably that's going to be on the 14th. I want to say the 14th of August is when I'll probably debut my Kaiser outfit. In fact, actually, fuck it. Let me actually, wait, hang on. Let me look at my VTuber wiki. Which, by the way, I do have a VTuber wiki page, thanks to Honey. Let me see here. See here, VTuber wiki. Because if it wasn't for, I'm gonna be real, if it wasn't for Honey, I wouldn't even know what my own debut anniversary was. Okay, so I'm sorry, it's not. Okay, so it's actually on the 26th. Okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be on the 28th. It's gonna be on the 28th. Yeah, so like, I never really bothered to know what my own anniversary was because I never thought it was that important. Right? So I never really thought I was that important enough to really remember my own anniversary or like my own anniversary date, just because again I never really thought I was like that important enough. So, and I actually learned what my own anniversary date was because of Honey Soar. I mean, true story. Like, literally true story. But yeah. So, let me see here real quick. Okay. Because I do want to go over some dinosaur-related stuff, because there's been a couple of things that was just dropped. So, there's been a couple of things that just dropped in terms of, like, dinosaur-related material. Well, one of them technically is not a dinosaur. So we'll say that, but just for the sake of the argument, there are a couple of things that just dropped that are dinosaur-related that I want to go over, and one of them is actually really neat. Because it involves Spinosaurs. And then also, I want to watch the latest chat history video. There we go. And I also want to bring up my webcam as well, because I really want to, like, show this off as well. Right, I really want to show this off because I think it's interesting. So, hang on. Let me spin that around real quick. Because Professor Grarl Brown is about to give you guys a crash course in dinosaur, or paleontology, I should say. So hang on, give me a second. There we go. It's not gonna be long, so I'm not really gonna really be autistic about it. Let me make sure. Okay. Okay. So. Okay. So let me dismount my webcam here real quick. Okay. All right. So, let me see here. And I do want to sit here and say is that I am an affiliate with HobbyLinkJapan. HobbyLinkJapan is your #1 hobby store in the world for all of your anime figure and Gunpla needs. Use my chat command code exclamation point HLJ, take you directly to the website. If not, there are the links down below in the panels, and they do ship worldwide. And the best thing about HobbyLinkJapan is that it all comes straight from Japan. And I'm also an affiliate with Waifu Wares. Use my chat command code waifu, take you directly to the website. Use my code Brown at checkout for 15% on all of your online purchases. All right. So the first thing I want to go over, and this is the reason why I have my webcam. Actually, no. I take it back. We'll hold off on that one real quick. We shall hold off on that one real quick. Here we go. Okay. So there was a new species of mosasaur that was just discovered, right? So there was a new species of mosasaurus that was just discovered. This one is called Tylosaurus rex, or the Tex, because everything is bigger in Texas, which is where this thing was discovered. Now, if you don't know about mosasaurs, so mosasaurs are basically, so these are not dinosaurs. They are not even closely related to dinosaurs. So what these are is that these are what are known as squamates. So these are ancient and like pretty distant relations to things like monitor lizards. So things of like, say, Komodo dragons, Nile monitors, tegus, goannas, stuff like that. So these are basically just giant marine lizards, quite literally marine lizards. And so something else that's very interesting is that they also have a second row of teeth in the back of their throat, basically. So this here is called Tylosaurus Tex. Tylosaurus Rex. So basically what it is that I think this was like, so this came about after analyzing several different specimens, and they kind of realized that, oh wait, these all kind of belong to the same animal, and it's a very big animal. So this is actually one of the largest mosasaurs to have ever existed, basically. It's one of the largest ever mosasaurs. See here, with the second row of teeth beholding their prey in their mouth. Yes, it would. So basically what these things would have eaten is that they would have eaten just about anything. So they would have eaten things like squid, sea turtles, other mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, pliosaurs, sharks, fish. Whatever they wanted, they would eat. They could even probably pluck out a pterosaur from the sky if they ever chose to. So it says here that, so this is done by someone by the name of Amelia R. Zeitlow. I think she's the one that did the paper on this guy. So it says here, everything is bigger in Texas. Introducing Tylosaurus Rex, aka Tex. A monster animal, a monster paper, and a monster project that I am so excited to finally share with everyone after 5 years. Oh god. So this thing was, so from what it sounds like is that this was discovered in what, 2021? And it wasn't fully published until now. How large is it? Well, we're getting there. Huge thanks to my co-authors Mike and Ron, to Alderon Games for bringing our lad to life. Okay, so that's the model there. Okay, so it says here, Tex is the culmination of my PhD research. Not only did we describe and figure out our new species in exhaustive detail, but we include a revised phylogenetic data sheet for analyzing for analysis of Mosasauridae. So Mosasauridae is basically the family of mosasaurs. And my measurement data sheet for hundreds of mosasaurs and extinct lizards, and it's all open access. Neat. Here we go. So, you can visit the holotype Papa Mike November Sierra 8029 Heath on display at the Perrott Museum. Heath preserves a nearly complete skull and partial skeleton. Shout out and thank you to my friend and colleague Kirsten for letting us use her skeletal for highlighting how much of this beast is preserved. So here we go. That's pretty extensive. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty extensive. Oh, hang on. There we go. Yeah, so here is the skull of a mosasaur. There is the second row of teeth. Now, if I remember correctly, this is also one of the few mosasaurs that we know of that had serrated teeth. But wait, there's more. We are confident in referring a dozen specimens to T-Rex, or Tex. These referrals and the taxon itself are supported by multiple lines of evidence. Apomorphic, stratigraphic, and geographic. So basically, it's pretty much what I was saying is that this is basically like them kind of going over essentially just multiple specimens of these type of mosasaurs to really kind of like better to paint a better picture of this animal. So, many Tex specimens were collected decades ago and referred to an existing SP of Tylosaurs. Tylosaurs prorigor. These referrals were primarily based on being larger and later in time than other Tylosaurs SP, and boy, they sure are large. So yeah, here we go. These are the different types of Tylosaurs that we got here. So we got Tylosaurus Rex, Tylosaurus prorigor. I'm not even gonna try. And Cancinius. Here we go. So now we get to go to the length of Tex. And it's a big boy. It's a very big boy. So you have your average Tyrannosaur, right? So this is your average T-Rex. This is the smallest T-Rex, Tylosaurus Rex. Largest prorigor is about 31 feet. Average T prorigor is 21 feet. Napolicus. I'm gonna say Napolicus. I'm probably butchering that, but there you go. So that one's I'm gonna say T-Nap. So average T-Nap is about 17 feet. Your average Varanus, so I think that's your average monitor lizard. Your smallest of the mosasaurs. And then here we go. The largest Tex specimen is a whopping and shockingly and / terrifying 43 feet long. That is 43 feet long of aquatic fuck around and find out. That is 43 feet of you're not gonna have a good day. You are really not gonna have a good day at all. So, to give you a sense of scale, the smallest specimen we refer to Tex on par with our largest Tyrannosaur, prorigor, and the biggest is a few longer than the false Lizard King itself. Our biggest individual also introduces a little twist. It's Bunker. It's Bunker. bunker is on display. At Kansas University. Was found in Kansas, so what gives? A common pitfall in paleotaxonomy is to refer specimens to a species based on their locality, and not apomorphic comparison to the holotypes. Bunker possesses text apomorphies. So basically, it basically in layman's terms is that this species of Mosasaurus shows traits of Tex. Lo and behold, it is not actually a contemporaneous with. It's not contemporaneous with T. proger. Most Tex are from the Ozan Formation. About 80 to 79% million years old, younger than the Neobrara Tylosaurus periger, 84 million years ago. Bunker is from the Pierre Shale, so about 80 million years. So basically this is basically what they're saying is that Bunker might be a Tylosaurus Rex. Tex is distinguished from periger by a suite of characteristics or characters associated with the attachment sites for jaw and neck musculature, as well as consistently serrated teeth. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about autogeny? Now that is a fair question to ask. So, to kind of keep it simple, for you guys. So basically what they're saying is that this lizard is big. It's a big, bulky, muscular lizard with basically serrated daggers for teeth. Kind of like a T-Rex. Right, so kind of like a T-Rex. So... Oop. There we go. We could test the hypothesis that we found that Tex are apomorphically distinct from T. proger, regardless of body size. Importantly, this includes this in the size range where they overlap, and even better, we do see onto change in Tex, and it matches onto changes in extant lizards. In this paper, we provide a heavily revised character list of mosasaur phylogenetic analysis. Not only the characters are new, but I rewrote the entire character list and rescored the matrix from scratch. We also add 50 new characters, only 3 had been since 1997. So here we go. Here are the family tree for the mosasaurs. So let's see here. So we have, from the looks of it, we have Varana. So these are basically like your Komodo dragons. So right there. So it looks like they kind of shot off from the mosasaur lineage pretty recently, if I'm looking at this correctly. Yeah, so we got 100 million years. No, I'm sorry, not pretty recently. Pretty late, or pretty early, I should say. Yeah, so we have that, and then we have Tylosaurus Rex, which is all the way over here. So it's kind of interesting, really. I wish I'd kind of give this a read. It's really fascinating. Now, the other one that I wanted to bring up, I did want to bring up is this. Me kicking my feet while listening to Mr. Grarl. You're adorable, Zen. No, I'm glad you're enjoying this. So the other one that I wanted to bring up was this. So this right here is a a piece of the skull from Spinosaurus. Now, what's interesting about this, and I will show this on my webcam, because, surprise, surprise, more reasons why Jurassic Park kind of got this wrong. So what's very interesting that they found out about Spinosaurus is that basically Spinosaurus, from the looks of it, had a kind of like a seabird lifestyle because of this little thing here. So what this is that it's a salt gland. Basically, this is something that seabirds have where it expels seawater from their nostrils. Or at least salt. So here we have the salt gland duct, which expels the excess salt. And we can see here with modern seabirds. So here we have your salt gland, your salt duct, your nostril, and then the salt secretion. So that probably is a good chance that Spinosaurus, so things like Spinosaurus aegypticus, and also the recently discovered species Spinosaurus mirabilis, means that they more than likely had a beach, kind of like a beach lifestyle where they would go out in the open ocean probably and snatch up things like fish and sharks and stuff like that as part of their diet. And then also probably in other aquatic environments as well in the chem formation. So things like basically like sawfish and coelacanth the size of cars that they would just swipe up. Behold the prehistoric seagull known as Spinosaurus. Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. But it's really, really fascinating. Yeah, so this kind of gives credence that the Jurassic World Rebirth Spinosaurus is actually a lot more accurate than the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. So, hi Yoy, how you doing? So, let me turn on my webcam here for a little bit. Let me turn on my webcam. Hi Yoy, I got new toggles now. I have a hair down toggle and I also have a shirtless toggle. We are talking about dinosaurs, yes, and I also have new rigging. My model has a new rigging, now. Let me see here. All right. So then, there we go. There we go. Okay, so let me turn on my webcam. So I want to show you guys this real quick. Also, thank you for redeeming your park entrance. Thank you, thank you. There we go. Okay, so this right here is the Jurassic Park 3 variant of the Spinosaurus, which is cool. It's iconic. Everyone knows it. Everyone loves it. But this is not accurate in the slightest. Right, so this is not accurate in the slightest. Right. So, if we were to look at this, this is actually more or less based off of the baryonyx. And also, as far as we know, baryonyx doesn't have this little salt duct where it can secrete excess salt from its nose. And in fact, actually, let me move some stuff out. So with this Spinosaurus, the nostrils here are way too low, as we saw here with the examples. So the nostrils for this is way too low. It should actually be a little bit more towards right here-ish. if I'm looking at this correctly. Right? So, oh, hang on. Ah, crap. I'm literally fighting for real estate here. So, yeah. So, basically what it is that, hang on. I'm trying to fight for real estate here. So, yeah, basically what it is that the nostrils here for this Spinosaurus should, in fact, be a little bit more towards up this way. So that way you can also just secrete that salt that comes out of that nose. Now, the other thing as well that is actually very, very inaccurate about the Spinosaurus is that the entire build is wrong. So, the actual Spinosaurus would have this giant alligator / tadpole-like tail. This actually should be a little bit lower to the ground. And the neck here should actually be a little bit longer. And the skull as well would be, should be a little bit longer and a little bit more narrow, and it has that little crook right there, but still, this should be a lot longer than what it is right now. And also the sail here also very inaccurate, very, very inaccurate. So this actually should be a little bit broader, and this right here should actually go, I think, to about right there. So, no, I just wanted to bring that up. But no, it's really interesting. This is actually really, really, really interesting. It just shows that more and more that Spinosaurs are just a very, very fascinating, but they are also a very, very strange group of animals. So we have things like Baryonyx and Suchomimus that clearly are meant for more, well, at least in the case of Suchomimus, are clearly meant for like a terrestrial lifestyle. So kind of picture something like, say, a grizzly bear, right? And then Spinosaurus itself is more on the lines of, say, like a seabird, like say a frigate bird, or maybe like a booby. But it's, or like maybe not like an albatross, but still, it basically like just like a giant seabird. Mixed with like, say, a crocodile and like a heron. But yeah, these are very, very, very fascinating animals. And I remember seeing somewhere where there was also another hadrosaur species that was discovered as well. I would kind of have to go and kind of go look for it. So, but yeah, no, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys in terms of like dinosaur stuff. So, give me a second here real quick. I'm gonna be right back real quick. I'm gonna go grab something to drink, and then we're gonna watch the latest episode of Chat History. So I'll be right back, everybody. Oh, I made good timing. I made pretty good timing here, chat. No, sorry about that. I was making some tea. I'm gonna switch whenever the ads are over. Give me a second here, guys. Yeah, sorry about that. I want to go ahead and made some tea because I kind of needed it. So, hang on for a split second. Also, chat, rule of thumb. So, rule of thumb for everybody. Don't try to transfer hot tea while you have a fucking straw. While you have a fucking straw in the cup. Because hot tea is hot. Hot tea kinda... It kinda burns a little bit, I ain't gonna lie. Oh, hang on. There we go. What kind of tea? Just regular black tea. Yeah, just regular black tea. I have it in my little waifu cup. Did I do that? Yes. Yes, I certainly did. Because I'm fucking stupid. Yeah, because I am completely fucking stupid. So. No, it's fine. It didn't really burn my hand. It was a slight just uncomfortableness. If I'm gonna be honest, it was just a slight uncomfortableness, but outside of that, I'm fine. Chamomile tea's not bad. I'm also just waiting for my tea to cool down. Yeah, just waiting for this tea to cool down just a little bit. Alright. Okay. So, let's take a look at... Let me fire this up real quick. Because we do love chat history in this house. Nah, we love chat history in this house. Okay. So.
Something.
There we go. Okay. And I always get excited. I always get excited whenever there's a new chat history video. Okay. So, this is called Something Horrible from Every Country. Yeah, so this is called Something Horrible from Every Country by Chat History. And ooh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Alright, so. Something horrifying about every country in the world.
Something horrifying about every country in the world.
In no particular order.
The country of Oman is an absolute monarchy. The Sultan holds
that's
complete
not
and
bad.
total power over every aspect of the country's systems and laws.
Oh.
As such, human rights there aren't so great. The
Oh.
entire country of Cuba has 6 sides and 8 vertices. Just kidding.
Hey!
But the first modern concentration camps were built in Cuba in the 1890s.
That's not
Under
good.
The Spanish Reconcentración policy, they were used to isolate Cuban civilians from rebel groups during the Cuban War of Independence. Historians believe that around 170,000, or about 10% of the Cuban population, died of disease or malnourishment in these camps.
Oh, we're up to a good start here, huh, chat?
Women have the real short end of the stick in Qatar. While men can face life imprisonment over sexual violence against women, their victims can also be charged with having an extramarital affair.
Oh, that's really that's really fucked up. That ain't right.
Real messed up.
That's
After
yeah,
watching
that's
his
some messed up
grandfather
shit.
duke it out with his brothers for the throne, Mehmed II formally legalized fratricide in the Ottoman Empire in what is now Turkey. So if you think your brother is trying to take the crown,
fratricide,
you can
kill your
legally
brother.
give him a royal smackdown. Even well before the colonization of Africa, indigenous slavery was the core powerhouse of the Ghanaian economy, dating as far back as the 1500s. The Aztecs of what is now Mexico worshipped a dog-headed god named Xolotl. They believed that the divine doggo to be the protector of souls as they traveled to the afterlife. As such, family pets were often sacrificed and buried with their recently deceased owners to serve as spiritual guides. Who's a good?
Well, I mean, I love Nanook and all. Is he's just sleeping on my floor, which that dog, I swear to God, that dog is so weird. Like, I'll try to get Nanook to sleep in the bed, right? I'll try to get Nanook to like sleep with me in the bed, but every single time I try to offer him the bed, he doesn't want the bed. He just wants the floor. But I love Nanook, but like I don't know. I don't think I want him in the afterlife with me. If I so happen to just, you know, die.
Good boy. Back when it was known as Drukgyul, or the Land of the Thunder Dragon, governors of the newly united country of Bhutan concealed the death of their leader for 54 years in order to prevent a civil war. If someone asked, they simply said that he was away on a silent retreat. They
Hey, it's like, hey, wait, isn't the emperor supposed to be here? Nah, he went out to get milk. He went to get milk 2 years ago, man. What happened to him? Oh, well, it's he had to go get that milk from Shangri-La, man. You know how them emperors are. They got to get the best milk there is, and the best cigarettes.
Passed laws and completed government tasks in his name. Under complete communist rule in 1950, hundreds of political prisoners were forced through the Pitesh experiments, several trials of re-educational torture, in order to prove their loyalty to communism. Hundreds were publicly humiliated, physically and mentally tortured to the brink of death, and forced to denounce friends, family, and all non-communist beliefs. Dozens died, either from the experiments or by their own hands.
Yeah, this is why
communist to be dominated by a minority ethnic group, many Sinhalese people of Sri Lanka participated in the Black July riots of 1983, which sought to destroy their political and cultural rivals, the Tamil people. Over 6 days, 23,000 Tamil homes and businesses were destroyed, with an official death count of 5,638 Tamil people. Whew, is it hot in here, or is it just Honduras? Must be them, because the world's deadliest prison fire happened there. The accidental blaze broke out in February of 2012, engulfing the Komajaga prison, claiming the lives of 361 people, including prisoners and visitors. A couple huge contributions to such a large number was the sheer overcrowding of the prison, lack of emergency therapists.
Like, have you guys ever seen like those foreign prisons? Have you guys ever seen like those foreign prisons where you just see like bodies on top of bodies just like stacked on top of each other? That is an absolute nightmare, and this is what would happen.
Procedures, and the fact that prison guards just didn't bother unlocking prisoners from their cells for a chance at escape. The thing that sucks about living on an island nation is that there's not a lot of places to go when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
A catastrophic eruption of the Laki volcano in 1783 in Iceland brought about the Mothaharthunten, or mist hardships. This was a toxic sulfur dioxide fog that plagued most of the country, evaporating a quarter of its population and 80% of its livestock. Sounds pretty unlucky to me. Ugh, Afghanistan. 2 words. Make sure you're in incognito mode if you decide to look that up.
What's
pretty uncommon, pilot sperm whales can get all disoriented and accidentally beach their blowholes on the shores of Dominica thanks to geological and human influence. Now that wouldn't be so bad if it weren't.
Hold on, what was Bachabazi? I'm kind of chat. Should I look up what Bachabazi is? I'm like actually kind of like morbidly curious to know what Bachabazi is. I don't know. Should I? Let me see here. What is Bacha? What's Bachabazi? Oh. Oh. I don't... Yeah. I'm just gonna say what it means. I'm not gonna go any further, and you can kind of put two and two together. Boy play. Actually, no, I'll read a little bit of it. I'll read a little bit of it, but I'm not gonna go into the disgusting parts. The boys are forced to cross-dress in traditional women's clothing, wear makeup, and dance seductively at male-only gatherings. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna need a palate cleanser after that. Yeah, so sperm whales.
For the fact that the rest of the pod blindly follows the leader. Believe it or not, a mass sacrificial cave was accidentally discovered in 2006 in the Cayo district of Belize. Archaeological evidence shows thousands of bones from at least 118 victims, most of which being young children. They were believed to have been sacrificed to the Mayan rain god Chak during extreme droughts. Some of the bones date as far back as 3,000 years ago. Thankfully, it's probably rained at least a few times since then.
So do they just go back to the same hole over and over and over and over? From the sounds of it. Also, so something that was really cool that I found out was that, so I think it was like an underwater Mayan ruin where they found this woman. No, it wasn't a woman, it was a girl. It was the skeletal remains of a girl. And she was fossilized. She was actually fossilized, but she was fossilized in I think crystals. Like actual crystals found were actually formed around her bones.
The previous dictatorship in the Gambia employed the...
Which honestly, it's a rare thing that happens. We've kind of seen this with dinosaurs, weirdly enough. In Australia, they found a few dinosaur specimens that were preserved in opal.
Jungler's Death Squad, a paramilitary group that would gank any political opponents, wrap a friendly wire around their necks, and disrespectfully dump them in a well. Doesn't do any favors for the local water supply.
Well, yeah, because you got like a dead corpse just kind of rotting and contaminating your water supply.
Highly illegal. It's estimated that roughly 12,000 women and girls are kidnapped each year and forced into marriages in Kyrgyzstan. The practice, hilariously enough, is called alakachu, and they do catch you. Mauritania.
Wait, hold on. Where is Kyrgyzstan? Hold on. Where is Kyrgyzstan? See here, Kyrgyzstan. Oh, it's in Asia. But where is it? Like Middle East? Is it? Kyrgyzstan, officially the Kyrgyz Republic, formerly known as Kyrgyzia, is landlocked. Is a landlocked country in the in the eastern regions of Central Asia, lying in the Tian Shan and Pamir mountain ranges. It is bordered by Kazakhstan to the north, Uzbekistan to the west, Tajikistan in the south, and China to the east and southeast. Huh. Oh, this place looks pretty. Oh, this place looks really, really pretty, chat. Like, I'd fucking go here. No, like, hang on, let me just show you real quick. No, I'd go here for like a vacation. Oh, I'd totally go here. Like, that's pretty. Like, that's legitimately pretty, chat. Oh, that's actually kind of nice clothing. Huh. I didn't know Kyrgyzstan was a thing. Shows how much I know about my Asian countries. That is actually genuinely pretty. I'm not gonna lie, that is actually genuinely pretty. Okay. So. Huh. Well, I just learned something today. There we go. Okay.
Armenia was the last country on Earth to officially abolish slavery, finally putting it into law in 1981.
They really do.
It's just a shame that there's still tens of thousands of slaves to this day.
Yeah.
Cattle are so integral to the culture of South Sudan.
like how slavery is still sadly still a thing to this very day. And a lot of it does involve a lot of like Asian countries and stuff like that, because if I remember correctly, there's still a lot of like, they don't call them slaves. I think they just call them indentured servants, but like a lot of, I want to say it's like Pakistani. A lot of like, I think it's like Pakistani women or something like that go to like India. No, I think it's the other way around. I think it's like somewhere like close to India that go to places like Pakistan and the Middle East. A lot of those wealthy Middle Eastern countries, and oh, they're treated like shit. Like, it is horrific.
Yeah, that they've essentially been the cause of many of the country's war efforts. While delivering a sermon in 1980, Archbishop Oscar Romero once publicly condemned El Salvador's horribly repressive military government. The repressive military government delivered a single silver bullet into his heart. A single tsunami flushed away over 160,000 Indonesian residents in 2004.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing about this as like a kid. Yeah, this was like all over the news. When places made slavery illegal, people switched the wording around to be in debt forever and need to work it off. Yeah, no, like a lot of it involves a lot of Middle Eastern countries, like Saudi Arabia, I think is one of them. Pakistan is another one of them, where they will just use that term indentured servant.
What do you expect when living in the world's largest archipelagic country? With Rwanda, you know it's going to be about the genocide. The Kigali and Nehemiah memorials in Rwanda still hold the remains and possessions of many of the victims of, the genocide that occurred there in 1994. A crippling combo of drought, crappy soil, and classic colonial neglect culminated in several famines across Cabo Verde's history, forcing starving residents to dine on inedible roots, grass, and rotten animal feed. Tens of thousands died. The Shuar people of Ecuador have a history of shrinking the heads of their enemies.
Okay, the process of shrinking heads is fucking interesting, but it's weird.
Practice called sansa ripped the rival's skin from skull, boiled it, and shrunk it down to the size of a fist. It's believed to have trapped and harnessed the power of the poor fella's soul.
Yeah, so technically speaking, it's not a head, so to speak. It's more or less just the skin shrunken down, and I think they wrap it around like a rock or something. No, they put it in, like, they kind of turned this into like a sack, just about, and it's filled with like hot rocks and sand.
About getting head. If you're Armenian, your ancestors persevered through lots, and I mean lots, of genocides and massacres and all kinds of atrocities. So make sure your bloodline of trials and tribulations doesn't go to waste. Now, the US is often the whipping boy when it comes to talking about slavery, but yeah, the Dutch rank real high up there in terms of complete brutality of African slaves.
No, like how the Dutch handled Africa. Yeah, no. Yeah, slavery in America was horrible. Let's not beat around the bush, but there's a reason why King Leopold II is not too fondly remembered in Dutch. By the Dutch.
During their colonial rule of Suriname.
Yeah.
You might want to check out the over 500-page-long chronicles of Dutch soldier John Stedman, who witnessed the cruelty firsthand. Some real nasty stuff in his writings.
Yeah, it's like how the Dutch handled Africa was nothing short of fucked up.
Perhaps that were 1700s Barbados sugar mills, it was fairly common for
I'm
exhausted
not gonna lie.
overworked
I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I hear Barbados, I just think of the one guy from Futurama going like, "Barbados Slim. Last time I saw you, you were in Barbados."
slaves to topple over into open iron cauldrons
Oh.
full of boiling sugar.
Oh,
Those
that's
they
gotta.
suffered war that
Ooh.
lasted over
Ooh. Oh, that is a horrible way to go.
15 years. Over 1 million people died. The catalyst? Communism. The country of Peru once had a Japanese president. Okay,
Really?
well, that's not horrifying, but his mass sterilization programs in the mid to late 90s that forcibly sterilized over 300,000 impoverished people without their informed consent
Oh shit.
really was. The Maldives are beautiful.
Oh, you know what? Also, you know what's something I actually like found out recently about South America, funny enough, is that Brazil. So, okay, so this is going to spoil it, but so apparently the largest concentration of Japanese people outside of Japan is Brazil. Yeah, no, like there is an actual like large population of Japanese that live in Brazil. I never knew that. Like honest to God, chat, I never knew that. I honestly thought like, you know, an obvious place like Japan, or not Japan, America, because California has Little Tokyo, or you know, something like that. But Brazil, I never thought that.
Especially their coral reefs. It's just a shame that many buttholes mine the shit out of them for construction purposes, which cause whole sections to die off.
Yeah.
Luckily, though, conservation efforts
That's where-
have been on the rise.
I honestly don't know. I don't know if that's where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu comes from. It might be. It might be. But yeah, no, like there is a very, very large. In fact, actually, there's like a good chunk of Brazil that is just like, it's called like Tokyo Town or something like that. But basically, yeah, there's a large, and I do mean a very, very large population of Japanese that live there, but also Japanese Brazilian.
Now, it isn't so much what the world did to Mongolia, but what Mongolia did to the world.
Goddamn Mongolians!
Conquest in the 13th and 14th centuries completely
Knocking down them shitty
curbstomp
walls.
vast stretches of Asia, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. Tens of millions died.
Yeah.
According to The Who, not the band,
Yeah, no, like the Mongols or the Mongolians killed so many fucking people that apparently it actually changed. I think it was like the oxygen level, because there was just there was so few people left that it actually, like, I don't know, it had something to do with the oxygen levels. It was kind of fucking nuts.
Slovakia, back when it was part of Czechoslovakia, ranked pretty high in the world for men checking themselves out of life.
Oh.
During the famous Great Siege of Malta in 1565, defending knights practiced their resourcefulness by ripping off the heads of the enemy Ottoman soldiers and using them as cannonballs.
What?
Speaking of Ottoman Empire heads, Montenegrin soldiers formed a hobby of converting Ottoman soldiers' noodles into badass lawn ornaments. In
that's fucked
1545,
up.
a Bolivian prospector discovered the world's largest silver deposits. It's just too bad that the
Yay!
Spanish colonized the place shortly after in the 1550s and forced the natives to slave away in the harsh mines
that's not
for
good.
nearly 300 years, leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands.
Oh, that's
It
not good
takes
at all,
only about
actually.
20 minutes to drive around the teeny tiny island of Nauru, but it took 3 days for Japanese forces to occupy the island and put everyone into labor camps during World War II. The thing about dictators is they really don't like you protesting their power. Thousands thought it would be a good idea to protest the dictatorship in Togo in the early 90s. It wasn't. Want to play a game of Minesweeper in real life?
Yeah!
Head on down to Micronesia, where you can accidentally plant a piggy on any one of the thousands of unexploded bombs left over from World War II.
Oh.
Sao Tome became
Yeah, that's like in Vietnam, where there's just like thousands upon thousands of like undetonated claymores. And like bombs contaminated with, or not contaminated, but filled with like napalm. Which, fun fact, is that for claymores, they have a little text that says, "Do not eat." The reason being The reason being why is that during the Vietnam War, the soldiers in the army, because something in the compound for those claymores, basically they would just rip that shit off and just start kind of like chewing it like bubble gum, and they would actually get a high from the chemicals in the claymore, to the point where the army had to start issuing text on these claymores, these landmines, saying, please do not eat the fucking weapon.
The first large-scale European sugar plantation colony in the 15th century, thanks to the Portuguese. If
And
you're
it's
looking
still
for
like
some
that to
proactive
this
years on
day.
your resume, Eswatini historically ranks pretty high in the child labor category. Okay, so if you ever see a small island with like an active volcano on it,
Yeah,
don't live there.
Yeah, don't
'Cause
live
9
there.
times out of 10, it'll erupt and kill everyone you know and love, like how La Soufflette did in 1902 on the island nation of St. Vincent. Azerbaijan has a strong history of oil extraction,
I've heard about
the
this
impact of
country
which will
before.
continue to pollute the Caspian Sea for centuries to come.
Oh.
In 2012, a group of 34 platinum miners near the town of Marikana in South Africa were pretty pissed about their horrid wages to swing their pickaxes. And the South African police were pretty pissed about wasting their ammunition to gun them all down. Slovenia has a commission on
that's fucked
concealed
up.
mass graves. That's because over 750 mass graves created during or after World War II have been discovered. These were almost exclusively dug by Soviet Union forces and filled with over 100,000 soldiers and civilians alike. Back in the days of the jutting jaw Habsburg Empire in what is now Hungarian territory.
Yeah, okay, so if you don't know about the Habsburg were really, so they were labeled as one of the most inbred family in all of history. If not, I believe they're the most inbred like type of people on the planet. Thankfully they're no longer a thing anymore, but they started to become more and more notable for their jawline, which is I think this right here. I think he's a Habsburg. To the point where the Habsburg jaw kind of became like a common household name or term.
Various villagers properly panicked, believing that the dead were returning from the grave. I want to suck your dick. Ooh.
Ayo?
Dubbed the vampire panic of the 18th century, thousands of corpses were exhumed from their tombs, only to have a stake jammed into their hearts or their bodies burnt to ash.
I know this one, Yeah, and then like sometimes they'll bury the bodies with like a brick in their mouth, just so that way, you know, they don't come back as a vampire.
1960 Valdivia earthquake in Chile was the strongest ever recorded in history, clocking in at a magnitude 9.5. That's bad. Nearly 1,700 perished and over 2 million rendered homeless. Papua New Guinea has a pretty bad history of witchcraft and sorcery accusations, but that's nothing that a little public mutilation can't fix.
Yeah, fuck them
Years
witches.
after gaining its independence, Bangladesh suffered a horrible famine that came about from flooding, government mismanagement, and classic corruption. In just 9 months, an estimated 1.5 million
I'm not proud of that.
famished and vanished.
I'm not proud of that one.
In the 18th century, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was chopped up and divided amongst Prussia, Russia, and Austria. In fact, Poland itself...
So if you don't know, Prussia was Germany. And the history behind Prussia turning into Germany is something I really would love to watch for like German Heritage Month, because it is kind of fascinating.
Completely disappeared from the world map before making.
Because I actually have family members that were in the Prussian military.
123 years later, in 1918. As we learned with Cuba, concentration camps weren't just a thing in World War II. Serbia used 17 camps against Bosniak and Croat forces during the
we also had
wars.
concentration
Prisoners
camps
were subjected
of our own
to
too.
exactly
we called
what
them
you'd expect
internment
from a
camps.
concentration camp. Ne Win, the dictator of Myanmar from 1962 to 1988, was deeply superstitious and obsessed with numerology, specifically his lucky number, 9. He went a bit overboard when he decided to demonetize most banknotes in 1987, replacing them with 45 and 90 notes because they were divisible by, you guessed it, the number 9.
I don't get those. Like, people who are, like, obsessed with, like, numerology and, like, astrology and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that stuff is fun to look at. This stuff is fun to look at. But when you start going like, oh my god, that's such a Scorpio thing to do. Oh my god, my lucky number is number 7, and I don't like to go anywhere, you know, anything that's above a 7 because that's unlucky, and I'm gonna have a fit if I don't get a number 7. Yeah, no, I don't get those people.
Well, citizens could just trade in their worthless notes, right?
Which is kind of funny because both my zodiacs are completely polar opposites of each other. Because so like my Chinese zodiac is a monkey, funny enough, and my astrology zodiac is a Scorpio. So monkeys are supposed to be like hyper energetic, whereas Scorpios are very calm and just don't want to do anything really. It's literally like ADHD fighting autism. You got ADHD who's running around, you know, just pressing all the buttons, while autism is just sitting here all nice and quiet going, I don't know, I don't want to do that. I got a set schedule that I got to follow.
Nope.
Aquarius
no
Ram,
compensation
nice.
or trades were ever offered, so the vast majority of the country lost their entire
Spyro.
life savings just like that. Paraguay really got their shit stomped during the War of the Triple Alliance. After losing like 80% of its male population, Paraguayan President Francisco Solano Lopez forcibly conscripted children 9 years old to continue the war effort. They wore fake beards and charged in the battle.
Wait,
you know.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Wait, did they really just like wear fake beards and go right into the front line? Like, okay, if I were their enemy and I'm shooting at these kids, it's like, wait, when the fuck did we start fighting the Lollipop Guild? When did the midgets start coming in? Like, that's really fucked up.
Die. In 1980, Saudi Arabian Flight 163 experienced an engine fire almost immediately after takeoff. After a bit of panic, the plane successfully returned to the airport,
Oh, that's not bad.
but then was completely engulfed in flames
shit.
before emergency evacuations could even be performed. All 301 passengers and crew perished. Equatorial Guinea was home to the Christmas
They have a
Eve
large amount of
massacre
little
in
people
1969.
suspicious? Yeah,
Soldiers
no,
were
for
ordered
real.
to dress up in Santa Claus outfits as they jingle bell rocked over 150 political opponents.
Wait, what?
Santa sleigh? No.
What?
Santa's sleigh.
Hold up.
In the
Wait, go back.
order to dress. Equatorial Guinea was home to the Christmas Eve massacre in 1969. Soldiers were ordered to dress up in Santa Claus outfits as they jingle bell rocked over 150 political opponents.
I would be both terrified and extremely confused at the same time. Like, yeah, no, I'm gonna die. Right? I'm gonna fucking die, and the person that's killing me is motherfucking Santa Claus. Please tell me at least one of them did like a corny Christmas one-liner before they just start like hosing down people with bullets. Please tell me somebody cracked a Christmas-themed corny one-liner. Yeah, I would be, honestly, I would be satisfied if they were just like, ho, 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 motherfucker. Looks like you were on the naughty list. I got your coal right here. Don't worry, I got your coal right here, so you can be nice and warm in hell. I'm gonna deck your halls. Yeah, like, look, if you're gonna kill me dressed up as Santa Claus, at least kill me with a dad joke too. Please. Don't be a Grinch. Don't be a Grinch now.
Santa's sleigh? No, Santa's sleigh. In the incredibly unstable country of Guinea-Bissau, there's a lot of Guineas, they never had a president fully complete their term. They've either been assassinated or booted from office. Sure, it's just a city, but the Vatican City is a country. The smallest one on Earth, in fact.
It's so funny.
In 1252, a not-so-innocent...
It's so funny to think that this thing that's literally a fucking city block is its own nation. Apparently they have their own air force. Yeah, apparently the Vatican have their own air force for some weird fucking reason. Where are they gonna put a jet? Oh, is it just gonna go right there. They're just gonna like pop up.
St.
Just go,
Pope Innocent IV formally authorized the use of torture when interrogating suspected heretics. The stipulation was that while victims could sustain inexplicable pain to the brink
Pope
of
Force
death,
One.
they just weren't allowed to die. Many died. Neo-Assyrian
It's like, oh, come on, you're not supposed to die here. I said, Giuseppe, slap it the fuck out of him. We need him to confess. Don't you die on me, man.
King Ashurnasirpal II had his grave extensively decorated with endless bragging of the various and violent torture methods that he used against his enemies. We're talking.
That is oh my god. That is a kind of bit of a power move, I'm not gonna lie.
Popping out eyes, ripping off limbs, and just letting them roam around eyeless and armless in pure agony. Pretty fucking metal.
Yeah, that is kind of metal, I'm not gonna lie.
In 1950, the U.S. government conducted Operation Sea Spray, a covert biological experiment in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh no.
Seemingly harmless bacteria were spouted into the air to measure the impact of potential biological warfare. Although successful in its goal, the bacteria ended up putting 10 people in the hospital and at least one person in a grave. Oopsies. Brunei's vast wealth is historically tied to its oil industry. And only its oil industry. Hopefully the wells don't dry up anytime soon. Big baddie Joseph Stalin weaponized famine against Ukrainian uprisings. After all was said and done, it's estimated that between 3.5 to 5 million Ukrainians bit the dust as a result of the Holodomor famine between 1932 and 1933.
And this is why, boys and girls,
with limited
communism
arable
can
land,
never work.
garbage soil, and increasing saltwater
Joseph
intrusion,
Stalin.
Tuvalu is pretty ill-equipped to produce its own food. As such, Tuvaluvians have to import 80% of their food, which means that they're one freak natural disaster away from crippling starvation.
It does look kind of like a face, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, no, I have a feeling like when rising sea levels start claiming land, Tuvalu is probably going to be one of the first countries to be gone.
The historical region of what is now Mali was deeply connected to the days of the trans-Saharan slave trade, which was run by Arabic merchants for 1,300 years.
Yeah, I think I remember this. This was, what is it? I think it's called the Barbary slave trade. Or the Ivory, I think it's called the Barbary slave trade. Where you would have like a lot of, Islamic pirates would just raid, European ships, steal their loot, and sell the crew into slavery.
Since it was pretty brutal. Middle of buttfuck nowhere in the ocean, the nation of Kiribati was the ideal location for Operation Grapple, the UK's very own hydrogen and nuclear bomb tests in the late 1950s. According to
I hate the fact that like all these really beautiful like tropical countries are always like subject to like horrific nuclear testing.
Folklore, the region that is now modern-day Guatemala was home to the Aloshis, knee-high little nature spirits that protected crops, but also caused all kinds of misfortunes to anyone who disrespected the land.
So basically what you're telling me is that these were like jungle leprechauns, or jungle gnomes, basically. I'm gonna call them that now. Jungle gnomes.
If you litter, you get the critters. There was a huge problem in the 1980s
you get the jungle
in India
gnomes.
with the introduction of ultrasound technology in hospitals. Families were terminating their girls and preferring their babies to be boys.
Yep.
You see, girls are seen as a financial drain due to marriage dowries, whereas boys could be a potential financial gain. It got so bad that the government had to pass the Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act in 1994, which banned knowing the gender of the baby before birth. Unfortunately, it just ended up delaying the family's decision by a few months.
Yeah, because I think a lot of countries like this who want boys over girls, they now have a very high disproportionate population of like, I think it's like what, for every one girl, there's like 5 boys. It's like that. It's worse in like places like China, because a lot of Chinese cultures revolve around wanting boys, because they're the ones that will inherit like, you know, homes, businesses, and stuff like that. It's really fucked up.
I hope you never get arrested in Venezuela, because those gang-controlled, overpopulated, underfunded prisons will rip you a new asshole, and probably do something to said asshole. something you won't like. People in Malawi are super superstitious. They believe individuals with albinism bring luck and wealth, so they rip them up and eat them. You know, there's so many places.
Yeah, no, like certain places in Africa, they will treat people with albinism of either as like an absolute curse and will try to kill you on the spot, or they'll try to kill you and consume your body parts because they think that you're gonna bring them good luck and magical powers.
Places that aren't Andorra. But Andorra was home to many spires, liars, strays, and runaways during...
Which I also think there's such a black market for albinism body parts that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they also do, like, they will actually kidnap white European tourists and butcher them just to sell their body parts and pass it off as albinos.
Spain's civil war in the late 1930s. Austrian serial killer Johann Unterweger was arrested in 1976. In his newly found spare time, he began writing in prison, which gained the attention of several Austrian intellectuals. Apparently writing really well, no matter your background, is an okie dokie from the literature club. They were so moved by his works that they actually advocated for his release, believing that he had rehabilitated himself through his writing.
And let me guess, he
was released and then almost immediately killed several more people.
Oh, never mind.
Croatia
Oh,
had
yeah,
its
no,
own
there we
death
go.
squad during-
Oh no, you're telling me that a reoffending offender reoffended? You don't fucking say.
World War II, called the Ustascha. They stomped around committing some war crimes that made even the Nazis cringe.
Oh.
The country of Liechtenstein is very small and located right next to Switzerland. Being so nuzzled next to the Swiss, Liechtensteiners adopted the same policy of neutrality during World War II.
They were, and then also in Italia, Liechtenstein is also like a super adorable character, and a lot of fans loved Liechtenstein. She was... So when it came to like Italia, Liechtenstein was kind of like the equivalent of Haru Urara, where she was the precious daughter and everyone loved her. I as much as I like to rag on like Italia fans being like absolute toxic shitbags who will crucify you on a fucking spike if you say anything other than yaoi shipping. Everyone loved Liechtenstein. Everybody loved her so much.
This caused...
And she was, in the show, I think she was, what is it? I think she was like, Sweden's, not Sweden, what did they say this was?
Liechtenstein is very small and located right next to Switzerland.
Okay, so I was right. Yeah, so, like, in the show Italia, Liechtenstein was, portrayed as kind of like, Switzerland's younger sister, I want to say.
Being so nuzzled next to the Swiss, Liechtensteiners adopted the same policy of neutrality during World War II. This caused much internal anxiety as the world effectively collapsed around them. Kenya believed that Kenyans are superstitious. Unordinary births like twins, deformities, or anything that wasn't a single healthy baby was viewed as a curse, so the babies were left to fend for themselves in the wild. It didn't last very long. This is the...
I don't know, like, how Kenya can get anything done, though. Because, like, you could probably sneeze in that country, and they'll start probably flipping their fucking shit, thinking, like, you just committed, like, witchcraft or something like that. Or if, I don't know, like, you are, like, too tall or something.
Monte Carlo Casino. It opened up in 1865 as a last resort for Monaco before the small nation faced complete bankruptcy. In just 4 years, the casino proved so successful that Monaco completely abolished personal income tax. That gamble really paid off, didn't it? Failed food harvests.
Yeah, so just remember, if you're struggling to make ends meet, just open up a casino. It works.
Fierce freezes forced a Finnish famine from 1866 to 1868. By the end, over 150,000 Finns were finished. Speaking of losing a portion of the population, Estonia lost nearly 20% of its people because of the World War sequel. Having a buddy over for dinner meant something entirely different in pre-modern Tonga. Bunch of cannibals.
Yeah, because wasn't like Tonga... I think Tonga was like a country that practiced eating the brains of like... I think it was like deceased loved ones or something like that. And then they had some kind. I think it was called Kuru. Yeah, I want to say it was called Kuru, where basically it was a disease of the brain. Funny enough, and you would just kind of go completely out of your fucking gourd, and then you die.
Before striking oil, Bahrain's economy almost exclusively relied on pearls. This meant that everyone and their mother were out there diving the depths in hopes of picking a pretty pearl without proper protection. So yeah, a lot of them drowned. It's not a good idea to be a politician in Comoros. People just keep assassinating the leader. Do yourself a favor, and I know this is going to sound obvious, but don't walk around active volcano craters. The very active White Island volcano in New Zealand exploded in 2019, cooking 22 tourists to a crisp.
Jesus.
Ancient Athens in ancient Greece suffered a nasty ancient plague around 430 BC. Historians believe that...
Yeah, and also I believe Greece, I think... Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I believe Greece went bankrupt. I think like it was during one of their Olympic events where they went completely bankrupt. Wait, hang on, let me check that real quick. Let me see here. Let me see here. When did Greece become bankrupt? Let's see here. 2009. Oh, I'm sorry, several times. So recently as 2015, 2010, and 2009. So it says here, so the latest, you know,
around
the recent bankruptcy, it says after a prolonged political standoff and the rejection of further austerity measures via national referendum, Greece officially became the first developed nation to miss a scheduled repayment to the IMF, defaulting on, oh sweet effing God, defaulting on a 1.5 billion euro loan. Oh dear God.
Third of the city done died from the dang thing. The Swiss had their own witch trials between the 15th and 18th centuries. The Valais witch trials saw hundreds executed.
Holy
Probably
Christ.
none of them real witches. Ah, the French. You know about the French Revolution, right? Well, things got really out of hand once the Reign of Terror started. If you weren't with the revolutionaries, they were against you. For example, the Noailles du Nantes were the mass drownings of over 4,000 prisoners in the River Loire in the early 1790s.
Yep.
Over 10
like if you weren't with us, you were against us. And apparently the last the last ever guillotine execution in France was during the 70s. Was during the 1970s. That is insane.
1,000 workers in Costa Rican banana plantations went on strike in 1934, demanding more appealing pay and 8-hour workdays. After several weeks of bringing the banana market to a halt, they were successful. They got their 8-hour workdays and their newer, healthier wage, 15 cents an hour.
Oh yeah.
This is Antigua
oh
and
yeah.
Barbuda. They're Caribbean islands that were once under British control, so you know what that means.
Slavery! Yay!
The Nanjing Massacre of
not yay.
1937 was brutal. Imperial Japanese forces invaded the Chinese nationalist government's capital of Nanjing and proceeded to commit many
unspeakable
atrocities.
acts.
As many as 300,000 Chinese soldiers and civilians were cut down where they stood. Côte d'Ivoire sounds pretty French, doesn't it? That's because the French colonized the heck out of it in 1893. What are you laughing at, Libya? Y'all were occupied by the Italians for 32 years up until the end of World War II.
God, the fucking
Civil
Italians.
conflict within the Republic of the Congo is so bad that they forget to care about the extreme poaching of gorillas, elephants, and chimpanzees.
Wait, hold on.
Fellas.
Wait,
Forget to care about too.
Wait, what did it
Civil
say?
conflict within the Republic of the Congo is so bad that they forget to care about the extreme poaching of gorillas, elephants, and chimpanzees.
Yeah, because don't they call I think they call like gorilla meat, like I think it's called like bush meat or something.
Poor fellows. Normally, you think of Africa as being hot, but the entire African country of Lesotho is up in the mountains, so it gets cold. Like, wipe out your entire family cold. Way back before you were blasted out of your dad's balls, one Thomas Baker did an oopsie by brushing against the head of the chief of Fiji in 1867. This was a big no-no in their culture. Thomas's simple mistake turned him into
I like the afros.
Mr. Steak, because they ate him. In order to appease their pagan gods, Lithuanian warriors of old would sacrifice prisoners of war, sometimes just hucking in a horse for good measure.
Wait,
Though
what?
The Horsies reportedly opposed their tradition with a resounding nay. Albanian blood feuds were a mess. If a man from your family offed someone, then a dude from the victim's family had a legal right to seek revenge. This resulted in hundreds of families simply remaining locked in their houses to keep away from trouble.
Well, yeah, because, like, if you do anything wrong, you know, John across the street will have full legal right to just come down and just smite you with a fucking, smite you down with, like, a cane.
Peter I of Portugal had a secret lover, and she was murdered. But after catching and convicting her murderers, King Peter reportedly ripped their hearts out with his bare hands.
Jesus,
a symbolic
that's
gesture
metal.
for what they had done to him.
That is metal. He also dug up his love. Oh wait, what does that say? He dug up his lover's body and had it crowned as queen. Oh, yeah, no, this dude is probably not all there mentally.
The country
Allegedly.
of Cyprus got pretty fucked in the medieval era. Plague and piracy killed over half of the island's population.
Baller. Yeah, no, that's pretty
Niger,
base though. Not the whole, like, you know, digging up your girlfriend's corpse to make her, you know, a queen. But no, just to sit there and Kali Ma to motherfuckers on the spot.
Holds the record for most child brides. Over
Ew.
75% of women under the age of 18 are forced into arranged marriages.
Ew.
Something about family honor or inheritance.
Ew.
The Aral Sea in Kazakhstan wasn't a sea, it was a lake. But now it's barely a puddle thanks to the Soviet Union, which diverted its water supply for irrigation
Again, fuck the Soviets.
purposes in the 1960s. Polynesian nations like Samoa have a rich history of explorers seeking out other islands to call home. But with limited technology, one bad storm could be enough to have them charting the ocean depths instead. Yemen had a civil war starting.
I mean, that's more fascinating, but I don't know how that's a bad thing.
2014, and it's still going on as of this video in 2026.
Okay, that's bad.
Infamous communist dictator Pol Pot knew that he needed to crack a few eggs in order to transform Cambodia into a pure agrarian socialist society. He ended up cracking nearly 3 million eggs.
This is why also
By
socialism
eggs,
is never a
people.
good thing.
Abandoned Somalia.
Yeah, so people want to talk about how Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong were awful, and there are awful people, but Pol Pot I think he's probably worse than them, just by the sheer body count and just the sheer utter brutality of how he executed it.
Ruins are believed to be haunted by evil spirits that, if you get too close, will probably, I don't know, give you a nasty
Oh, look, it's the Slendy Man. God, I remember back in the day when Slender Man was like the popular, like, kind of like creepypasta.
scratch or something. During the 1947 partition of India and Pakistan, many witnessed the sheer horror of ghost trains. Literal trains filled with corpses of passengers that were seeking refuge across the border but were intercepted and annihilated before they could make it. Lots of local legends love the lore of lady spirits that end up being murderous maidens, and Nicaragua is no different. La Mocuana is said to be the vengeful spirit of a Nicaraguan woman who was betrayed by a Spanish conquistador. She was deliberately trapped in a cave after telling the Spanish about her tribe's gold. She is said to wander the mountainsides, luring men into caves to trap them for eternity. When you think of the term banana massacre, you might imagine a fruit-filled room of monkeys left to their own devices.
Yeah, honestly, or just like Donkey Kong just finally snapping and just start going on a rampage.
But the real banana massacre of 1928 was when the Colombian army opened fire on a bunch of banana plantation workers as they were on strike.
Oh, that's not
That's
fun.
much less silly. Archaeological evidence has dug up a whole bunch of mass graves in the city of Carthage in Tunisia.
That's
The
actually
burial sites contain over 20,000 tombs for children, which allegedly were sacrificed in the name of Phoenician and Punic religions. Burundi.
I was gonna say, oh, that's actually kind of cool, but oh, never mind. Never mind. It's about child dying.
Ranks among one of the poorest nations in the world. Combined with decades of ongoing political violence and
Yay for
generational
being
trauma,
poor!
it's a wonderful place to avoid. The bodies of Pompeii in Italy are pretty horrific when you remember that these were real people really experiencing their very real deaths.
Yeah, like a lot of these bodies are completely and utterly just like fucked up. Like I think this is like what I think it's like flash fossilization. Like they're all intents and purposes, these are fossils. These are just fossils of human beings with agonizing details on their bodies. I think there's one guy who is forever just frozen with like him screaming.
Only to be immortalized as morbid statues for people thousands of years in the future to take pictures of and be like, neat. So I came across the statistic that the horribly underfunded and neglectful Canadian Indigenous residential schools had a 5 times higher mortality rate than regular Canadian schools. And then I'm like, wait, were the kids in the properly funded schools just kicking the bucket too? What is this, the US?
Yeah.
Lebanon experienced Black Saturday in 1975, a bout of extreme religious violence which ended up in about 200 casualties.
We're about to have
I prefer
ads
Black
here
Friday. We
in
could probably
a
save
few
$200
minutes,
depending on the
or a
deals
few
you get.
seconds.
Uzbekistan got shafted by Stalin in the 1930s with all of the agricultural collectivization and the eventual eradication of the Aral Sea in the 1960s.
Okay, so we're gonna run some ads, and then we'll be back, and we're gonna try to finish this up and then play some Mouse P.I. So I will see you all after the ads.
No feasts means...
Okay, guys. Are we all set here? Hang on for a split second. Just want to check something real quick. Okay. Alright. Are we all good? Okay. So welcome back from the ads. So let us continue with something horrifying about every country in the world. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Lots of famine. During World War II, the UK Royal Air Force bombarded San Marino after intelligence reported German troops in the area. The intelligence was wrong. The mistake cost the lives of 63 civilians. In 1961, the UK formally apologized and paid the modern equivalent of £2.3 million as compensation. In 1830,
that's still
the
like
French strolled their
kind of a
asses
big
into Ottoman-controlled
fucky-wucky right there.
Algeria and were all, oh, this is mine now. But like in French. Right next door
The
to
goddamn
Algeria
French.
is Morocco. Yeah, the French controlled that too for a time. This is mine also. Djibouti was, oh, god damn it,
Djibouti.
France. Native ritual enslavement was a hot trend for
Djibouti.
centuries in Angola.
Guys, you
Now,
want to see my
can't blame
Djibouti?
that on colonial powers, can you? Many natives of the Democratic Republic of the Congo relied on power statues as contractual agreements. These
Jesus Christ.
little fellas called Nikisinakondi, or spirit hunters, were used to seal the deals, each represented by an individual nail or peg. Should the deal be broken, the guilty party would face the wrath of the spirit contained in the statue.
So okay, so what you're telling me is that you bring out like a clay statue and just drive a nail in it and that's your legal binding contract?
He gonna ruin your day some awful. Being a royal servant in ancient Cameroon was
I will say though, I kind of like African structures. I will say they're probably the most like fantastical or like the most like fantasy looking like houses and stuff like that. Like, look at that. Like, honestly, look at that, and that looks like something I would see from like a fantasy land or something.
a bummer and a half. When the king died, there was a real chance that you'd have to send yourself to the Shadow Realm, accompanying the king into the afterlife. 401k. Some Dominicans believe in the legend of the Galipote, shape-shifting demons that can take the form of any object, from dogs to hogs, from rocks to roosters. Whenever
Cocks.
ancient Bulgarians were looking to beef up security to protect the village against disease or disaster, they would take up their swords and sacrifice a lamb or two.
Wait,
During
what?
the Great War sequel, Japanese forces occupied Timor-Leste and promptly wiped out villages and food supplies in order to establish a better defensive perimeter in the Pacific.
Yeah, so
They finally left in 1945.
So the Japanese were just like extra bloodthirsty during just World War II.
Then all was well. Until Indonesian forces invaded 30 years later and did the same dang thing. Britain formally banned the slave trade in 1807, which included the country of Seychelles, but slave owners just kept capturing new slaves like, yeah, we already own them, so fuck you. Ever hear of the Guadalcanal campaign on the Solomon Islands? Probably not, but it was one of the bloodiest series of battles between the US and Japan. The US lost 7,000 troops and the
I remember
Japanese lost
hearing about
30,000. You can probably guess who won. Peanut butter and jelly, ham and cheese, Africa and Civil War, all iconic duos. Well, in its highest estimates, the Nigerian
fucked
Civil
up.
War of the late 1960s
It's
is
true,
believed to
though,
have
but,
caused
like,
the
that's
deaths
so
of nearly
fucked up.
3 million people, mostly from starvation. In hindsight, maybe the sandwich combo comparisons weren't the most appropriate. Oh, crocky. For over 80 years, the British had shipped
Australia.
over 160,000 of their worst criminals down under to Australia. They were used in forced labor to help build the new British colonies there.
Also, I don't know what it is with Australia, but like for some weird reason, Australia just is like just the land of just. It feels like it's the land of like God trying to make a Dark Souls level. Because everything in Australia just wants to fucking kill you. If not intentionally, then unintentionally. Like, every single creature just about is either highly dangerous or highly venomous. For some weird reason.
You know,
And if that doesn't work either, they had monitor lizards the size of a bear. Just strolling around. The Megalania. Yeah, just picture a Komodo dragon the size of a black bear. Just rolling around.
because they lost the American colonies. Sweden was home to the Vipeholm experiments in 1945.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Dentists and candy companies teamed up to force mental hospital patients
Oh,
to
I've
eat
heard about
sticky,
this,
sugary
yeah.
sweets for 10 years in order to see if it rotted their teeth. It rotted
It
their
did.
teeth. Thomas Sankara became the leader of Burkina Faso
what
in
kind of salute is that,
1983.
guy?
He campaigned on anti-corruption, supported vaccination campaigns, women's rights, all that good stuff. But no good deed goes unpunished.
What are you
He was
fucking saluting
assassinated
the
just a
urban
few years
rangers?
later. Here's your new word of the day. Defenestration. It's when you
Yay.
huck someone out of a window. Both
Wait.
Catholics and Protestants
Wait, is that actually what it's called?
for giving each other the window treatment back in the days of the Kingdom of Bohemia.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great way to solve an argument. Just defenestrate a motherfucker.
Nowadays, the area is called the Czech Republic. Kuwait has crude oil just leaking out of every orifice. The end of the 1991 Gulf War saw retreating Iraqi troops destroying hundreds of Kuwaiti oil wells. The wrecked wells have been creating vast crude oil lakes which are poisoning the local ecosystem. Belarus was minding its own business until one day a little-known and poorly designed facility called the Chernobyl nuclear power
Yeah.
plant shit its britches, spewing radiation every which way. Belarus took the brunt of it, absorbing roughly 70% of the disaster's radioactive fallout. The Kingdom of Wadai and Chad
Well, and then also, I think over by Chernobyl, there are, I think it's like dogs. I think it's like dogs and boars and stuff like that. They're experiencing like weird mutations and adaptations and evolutions. It's kind of strange.
was once one of the more powerful African kingdoms in the 1800s. How did they do it? Lots of bloodshed and heavy slavery. Turkmenistan had itself a communist dictator. This is Saparmurat Nietsov, and he was a real
yay.
son bitch. How do I know this? The guy legally changed the names of months and days, changed the Turkmen word for bread to that of his mom, wrote a spiritual book and made it
Wait. This is what Archer was parodying. Oh, yeah, okay, so in Archer... Yeah, okay. Yeah, in Archer, there was like a gag where what was it? I think it was like Sterling. He got stuck in a fictional country called Gurkmenistan, and the guy renamed the word for bread, snake, and his dog as one word. I think it was like Gurk.
mandatory learning in all schools.
No, Gurp. No, Gurp.
Banned video games, long hair on men, opera, ballet, closed libraries and hospitals outside of the capital, and was just overall a narcissistic butthole.
So what are you supposed to do then? So, let's see here. Legally changed names of days and months, renamed bread after his mom, wrote a stupid spiritually book. So, okay, so what are you supposed to do then? Banned video games, long hair, operas, and closed public libraries and hospitals. So what are you supposed to do then?
He died in 2006. In
Oh, good. Piece
1524,
of shit.
German peasants thought themselves powerful enough to rebel against their aristocratic oppressors. They were not. The nobles quickly quelled the rebellion, resulting in as many as
Scheiße.
100,000 petty peasants perishing. During the days of the Ottoman Empire, young Christian lads of North Macedonia feared the Devshirme system, a blood tax that was paid by getting ripped from your family, converted to Islam, and forced to serve for the Ottoman military. Power over Palau was getting tossed around like a kid at a billionaire's birthday bash. Since the 18th
fun.
century, Palau had traded hands between the Spanish, the Germans, the Japanese, the Americans, and sprinkled in a bit of British influence.
Oh, God.
It finally gained its independence in 1994.
I always love it when
The
Chat
Raji
History
Raji
like
rebellion, which
makes the
pitted
British just like
indigenous
honk like
Tanzanians against their
cars.
German colonists, left as many as 300,000 natives dead. The German scorched earth policy straight up obliterated local farmland and thus the entire food supply. Maybe a third Maji would have done the trick. Between 1964 and 1973, a CIA-led bombing campaign took place in the country of Laos in order to tip the scales of the Vietnam War. Innocent civilians on the ground were forced into mountainside caves or underground entirely in order to not get blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
Sudan is just north of South Sudan, which is
And I believe like in Vietnam, I believe there's still unexploded like ordnance just peppering the countryside.
south of Sudan, hence the name. The two formally broke up in 2011 due to deep-rooted ethnic, religious, and economic differences. If you feel like having a visual reminder of what your last meal was, you can explore the world of Skopje, an absolutely insane religious sect that took pride in demolishing their own junk in the name of the Lord.
Oh.
Which is appropriate, because once you read more about it, you'll be like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, Jesus
you know about
Christ,
the dodo
man.
bird, right? Well, it was in the country of Mauritius that it went extinct. Within just a century of the Dutch arriving in 1598, the dodo, as well as several other native animal species, were Control-Alt-Deleted from the server.
Which, honestly, it's kind of sad with the dodo, is that... And so this is always, like, the sad thing about the dodo, is that when you hear the word dodo, you think of someone as just, you know, fucking stupid. That's where this is where it comes from. And the reason why is because they thought the birds were stupid. Right? They honestly thought the birds were dumb. Because they showed no fear of people. They showed no fear of people or any of the other invasive animals that they brought over. They were flightless and they were slow. So they just thought they were dumb. Well, no, it's called they were on an isolated island for millions of years and they've never seen a human before, so they just don't have a natural sense of fear for something they just don't know.
The Bosnian city of Srebrenica was the site of the Srebrenica massacre, a genocidal killing of over 8,000 Bosnian Muslims by the army of the Serb Republic at the conclusion of the Bosnian War. You can't spell Spain without pain. The Spanish Inquisition utilized all kinds of imaginative torture devices to force confessions out of heathens and blasphemers alike. But just as a quick fact, the Spanish Inquisition only saw about 5,000 executed across 356 years. So, yeah, I mean, that's still bad, but like, I think people have this misconception that hundreds were dying every day. But it's just not true. Witch trials are tried and true, but Latvia's werewolf trials were the real deal. Granted, this was back in the 1600s when the area was known as Livonia, but whatever, burning people alive for stupid superstitious reasons. Because she was such an evil queen, Ranavalona I of Madagascar forced suspected criminals or political opponents to drink a poison concocted from highly toxic tree seeds in order to determine if they were guilty of their crimes. If they survived, they were innocent. Very few survived.
Well, yeah, no shit, because you're just chugging, like, poisonous tree seed juice. Yeah, no shit, some people just fucking keeled over.
The Norse really knew how to deal with criminals. Any Thor, Eric, or Freya could put a permanent end to a declared outlaw without facing any legal repercussions. Panama has a big old canal. About 25,000 Panamanians died building that thing.
That's not based.
In the 19th century, the iron ore industry in Luxembourg was booming, but so were all the people working inside the mines. Sierra Leone is, in part, home to the Poro, a creepy-ass secret society of men that have their own language, rituals, and cultural practices. Little is known about them because, you know, secret society.
Oh, what the fuck? That's like taking guys' night out to a whole new level, chat.
If you're ever convicted of a crime in North Korea, not only are you getting an unlubricated judicial fisting, but your entire living bloodline could as well. Brazilian...
It's kind of interesting about North Korea is that, so in North Korea, there are actual people who, like, that are from America and stuff. All right, Nightsin, thank you for stopping by. But yeah, so with North Korea, it's kind of weird because there's like, I think 5? I want to say it's 5. It's like 5 Americans. I think it's like 4 white guys and a black guy. And they went to, and they willingly defected to North Korea. And they're treated like celebrities and they're only known for appearing in movies for propaganda, only for them to die. And to teach the North Koreans a lesson about how evil the United States is and all that kind of stuff. It's so weird.
Mental hospitals heavily employed the use of aggressive hydrotherapy for their more extreme cases. Now, while hydrotherapy sounds pretty nice, these patients were either forcibly submerged and restrained in water for hours and hours on end, or had freezing cold water-soaked sheets wrapped around them to control their behavior. If the patients passed out, It was successful. The British Royal Air Force did a lot
Oh,
of
yeah,
aerial
no, that-
policing over the desert regions of Jordan in the 1920s and 1930s, as it was much more cost-effective than having boots on the ground to maintain order. Medieval Ethiopians had
So like, what are you gonna do in a fucking biplane there, buddy? Are you just gonna like fly by like, I say, stop that right now. Stop being a bunch of cities. So, you there, stop stealing that goat, I say.
specialized witch smellers that could sniff
Don't make me come down from my plane, because if so, I'm going to give you a real whooping, I am.
out individuals responsible for dipping into the dark arts. Results varied. The Central African Republic has seen quite a few outbreaks of human African trypanosomiasis. Also known as the sleeping sickness, it's a life-threatening parasitic disease that affects the brain and spinal cord. Within a few weeks, the infection results in impaired cognition and can cause you to sleep throughout the whole day. Oh yeah, and then you die. Did you know that Vietnam has a history before the 1970s? Well,
Yes.
for one, they used to stage full-fledged animal duels during the age of the Nguyen dynasty.
That's kind of fucked up.
There's really nothing better than a solid chicken parmesan.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Uganda had a bunch of slaves
Oh.
at one point, I think. The city of Buenos Aires in
Oh.
Argentina turned into a literal sea of corpses with the yellow fever outbreak of 1871.
Oh, that's not
At its
good.
peak, nearly 600 Argentinians became Wargentinians in a single day. If you were a real bad boy in colonial St. Kitts and Nevis, you were put in a public humiliation cage so everyone could point and laugh at what an asshat you were. That'll teach you.
Nowadays, that's just called Twitter.
Thai soldiers believed for centuries that sakyan, or sacred tattoos, would protect them from harm. But like actual physical harm, like stopping bullets and knives and other life-threatening weapons.
God, I wish. Otherwise, I would get this too. I'm not gonna lie. Just be like, oh yeah, no, fuck body armor. I'm just gonna get this tattoo of a tiger. Yeah, come at me, bitch.
Probably really disappointed while they bled out. Zambia has one of the largest known copper deposits in the world, and thousands have died getting it out of the ground since the early 1900s. The United Arab Emirates have several abandoned towns that have been reclaimed by the desert. Many believe that spooky, scary spirits inhabit the ruins.
Oh, this was also that was also like the set for Fallout. Wait. Go back.
Since the early 1900s. The United Arab Emirates have several abandoned towns that have been reclaimed by the desert.
Yeah, because if memory serves me right, they filmed parts of Fallout, I think, in these desert, like abandoned desert towns.
Many believe that spooky, scary spirits inhabit the ruins. Even to this day, Eritrea uses secretive underground prisons to hold high-ranking prisoners. The quality varies. You could either be in a cold underground bunker, or you could be confined in a blistering, balls-hot shipping container.
I'm good.
Speaking of prisons, it's pretty foreboding to be imprisoned in a location called Shark Island. Well, thousands were
Shark
in
Bay,
German-controlled
hoo-ha.
Namibia in the early 1900s. There were even stretches of horrific medical research conducted on prisoners in 1906
Shark
by
Bay,
Eugene
hoo-ha.
Fisher, who later became a prominent Nazi scientist. I've talked about the Belgian crown's African destruction ad nauseum, so let's switch it up. In 1930, the industrious Belgian city of Angie was farting out some serious air pollution. The smothering smog, which mainly contained fluorine gas, caused severe respiratory distress to thousands and brought about a premature end to 63 people in just 5 days.
Good
The
lord.
Pirates of the Caribbean city of Port Royal is very real, and so is the earthquake that completely reamed it in 1692.
Oh.
2/3 of the city, as well as 2,000 lives, were immediately lost to the sea. In 1805,
That's
plantation
crazy.
slaves in Trinidad and Tobago planned the Christmas Rebellion, in which they plotted to poison their masters. The plot was
kinda
discovered,
crazy,
and the
though.
slave leaders were swiftly and very violently executed. 3 Filipino priests were falsely accused of mutiny in 1872 and were sentenced to death by the super scary garrote, a torture/execution chair that utilizes a rope, chain, wire, whatever to strangle a victim. About 1,200 islands make up the Marshall Islands. Besides getting vaporized by nuclear testing, many of these smaller uninhabited islets are believed to be haunted, according to
Oh.
local superstitions. Besides the whole Jonestown thing, which everyone knows about, I
Yeah,
can't really
drink
find
the
anything
Kool-Aid.
horrifying about the history of Guyana, so here's a scary image to compensate. Malaysia
Oh, that's
boasts
terrifying.
Crazy huge tin and rubber resources, even after the British Empire yoinked about $500 billion worth of the stuff in the early 20th century through backbreaking labor
I
performed
thought he
by
was gonna do
Chinese
like a
workers.
honk or something.
Ireland had its
Nope,
own
never mind.
secret societies for the ultra-wealthy looking to partake in some raunchy debauchery.
The Society of Hidden Leprechauns,
That's
right?
These societies were dubbed Hellfire Clubs.
Oh, never mind.
Palestine is a historical and foundational religious hotspot for Christians, Jews, and Muslims. During the Crusades, Christian Europeans became obsessed with recovering iconic Christian religious relics, such as bones of saints, pieces of Jesus' big cross thing, and a bunch of their saviors' personal belongings. Crown Prince Dipendra of Nepal was forbidden
Fucking
from
Blood
marrying
Gulch.
the love of his life. Taking the rational route, he decided to 720 quickscope his king and queen parents before downing himself in 2001. But even with parental blood on his hands, he was still crowned king while in a coma and reigned for 3 days before permanently logging off. Since being founded in the year 455, the Georgian capital city of Tbilisi has been destroyed and rebuilt 29 times.
That kind of reminds me of that one skit from Monty Python, The Holy Grail. You know which one I'm talking about? About the guy that lives in the swamp castle. It's like I built the first one, that second to the swamp. So I built the second one, and that second to the swamp. Built the third one, burned down, then second to the swamp. But the fourth one stood up. That's what this kind of reminds me of.
That's perseverance for you. On a somewhat similar note, the island country of St. Lucia has traded hands between the French and British powers 14 times. There was heavy slave ship traffic running through the Bahamas, mainly
boat.
Spanish ships. Whenever something went awry and these ships were wrecked, any surviving slaves were forced to spend their newfound freedom fighting for survival on remote islands. Christian
That's
VII
lovely.
was Denmark's schizophrenic king. His brain didn't work so good. According to biographical reports, he would throw erratic fits, including hucking furniture out of the windows,
not the Ronald McDonald
bonking his board
bench.
against the wall until a red froth came out, and he even strutted his stuff through a royal feast with the old meat and potatoes just swanging around. Unsurprisingly, he was deemed unfit to rule. The fire...
Look, we all have had at least that one fancy dinner party where we just let our junk hang out. I mean, who hasn't done that? I mean, I've done it several times. This is why people don't come over anymore. This is why people don't come over and have dinner at my house anymore.
Stone Company makes tires. Tires are made out of rubber. Rubber comes from rubber trees. Lots of rubber trees are found in Liberia. Firestone has been operating the world's largest natural rubber plantation in Liberia for over a century.
Oh god, 666. Oh, that's lovely.
And it has not been ethical in the slightest. A violent flood tore through London on October 17, 1814, killing 8 people. Eyewitnesses described a 15-foot tall wave that crashed through the streets, completely leveling 2 houses. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that it was beer.
Oh no, not the beer!
Under the regime of infamous cave dweller Saddam Hussein in Iraq, deciding to go AWOL
fuck
from your
this guy.
military obligations meant that you could get your ears chopped off. After a 12-year rebellion where Haitian slaves revolted against their French overlords, they finally gained their freedom as an independent country in 1804. 21 years later, French King Guy Charles X forced Haiti to pay 150 million francs or...
Why is he giving me the bedroom eyes? Chat, why is this man giving me the bedroom eyes? I don't like it.
upwards of $600 million in compensation to the slave owners. This put Haiti in crippling debt for generations, finally being fully paid off 122 years later in 1947. Camp Boiro in Guinea held an estimated 50,000 political prisoners captive in its walls from 1960 to 1984. It was a site of torture, neglect, and death. Many inmates were forced to partake in the, quote, black diet, which was just nothing. No food or water. In order to give itself the image of an
honestly sounds like me whenever I was on Ozempic. Because whenever I was on Ozempic, I could not feel hunger. Well, I take that back. I rarely felt hunger. So I remember I would just go for like a day. Only eat maybe like one thing and that would be it. Or nothing. And I wouldn't feel anything until like almost a day later.
Ideal picturesque city, South Korean officials systematically rounded up and dumped over 16,000 homeless people into labor camps while hosting the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. Citizens of the Netherlands were so fed up with their prime minister in 1672 that they murdered and ate him and his brother. Must have been some prime ribs. Vanuatu is an archipelagic country smack dab in the middle of the Pacific, so it has to sustain ongoing volcanic activities, cyclones, and earthquakes. Just can't win. There's a
Nah, you
huge
can't win
misconception
on that one.
about Japanese samurai being these pinnacles of honor and respect. Well, have you ever heard of the practice of tsujigiri? After equipping themselves with a fresh off-the-anvil katana, some samurai would take their new weapons out for a swing by cutting down random unarmed civilians as they walked by at night.
Yay for slaughter!
Hey. If you were having yourself a relaxing day of fishing along any of the rivers in Tajikistan in the early 90s, you might have ended up hooking a corpse or 10 thanks to all the mass executions happening upstream. In order to keep up with modernization and expanding of the
history.
city, Singapore just bulldozed through countless cemeteries. Sorry, great-grandma, but the neighborhood
Yeah, no, fuck great grandma. We need a new park bench.
needs a new froyo stand. So I thought
We
it was
need a new
pronounced
gazebo.
Grenada, but apparently it's Grenada. Anyway, the US really
thought it was
plowed
Grenada.
Grenada's mound in 1984 when it accidentally deleted an entire mental hospital. Whoops.
Nice.
The coast of Benin
nice.
was once referred to as the Slave Coast. Take a guess why. A viral outbreak of
Slavery!
rinderpest, aka cattle plague, killed off about 90% of Botswana's adorable moo cow population in the 1890s. Poor things. In the 1980s in Iran, your execution would probably last longer than the time you had to defend yourself in court, if you were unlucky enough
Yep.
to spawn in Iran.
Yeah, because that's still, sadly, that's still going on today, where they are hanging like protesters and stuff like that. They're actually like hanging them from like construction cranes. It's really fucked up.
Need to go through a legal process in Zimbabwe? Well, it's common to contact a spirit medium rather than a lawyer in order to channel spirits to resolve civil disputes. So you better call Sol. Egyptian pharaohs could be so petty. Damnatio Memoriae was the practice of altering history by deliberately erasing the names of monuments of rival rulers.
Yeah, no, like that is a thing that they do. I think they did that with Tut.
Moldova was once part of the Soviet Union.
Also, what's interesting about, so something I learned about ancient Egypt is that there's a misconception about slaves building the pyramid. It was actually it wasn't slaves. If they were slaves, they were prisoners of war. But for the most part, they were just regular like Egyptian like civilians. And they would usually work on the pyramids when the Nile actually flooded in, like during the rainy season. That's kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
Union, so it took advantage of many of the aspects of communism, such as famine, labor camps, and property seizure.
Yay, fuck
the
communism.
door of no return in Senegal marks the final exit point for millions of slaves over the centuries. As the name suggests, they never returned. Countries across Africa, including Gabon, have
not gonna lie,
experienced
I thought that was-
mysterious
I thought that was
ritualistic
Texas.
killings for centuries. Locals attribute these events
Farmers
to what
in
they
the-
call
in the
the
off-season? Yeah,
leopard
basically.
men, enigmatic assassins known to dress in leopard skins and attack people in the night.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was Shrek. I thought that was like Shrek in like leopard print. And then I saw his face. Ba 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 da ba. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace. Cause now I'm fucking dead.
Leopard men, enigmatic assassins known to dress in leopard skins and attack people in the night.
Oh god.
Yeah, no.
Moving
I'm not getting
on.
my channel shut down. Finally, we have Uruguay. In the 70s and 80s, Uruguay earned the nickname Latin America's torture chamber because of the insane amount of imprisonment and torture going on. At its peak, 1 in 50 were arrested and imprisoned for some period of time for political reasons. All right, so that's every country in the world. Do
Woo!
you have any horrifying facts about your home country? Leave a comment below
Yeah, Chad,
and tell us all about it.
do you have any horrifying facts about your home country? Country. But no, like, so that's the interesting thing about Egypt is that, yeah, no, a lot of the workers were farmers on the off season. And they didn't whip them either, or at least to my knowledge, they didn't whip them because it was like, oh yeah, no, we probably shouldn't starve or beat these people because we kind of need them to work. We kind of need these people to actually, you know, work. So we can't really like beat them to death. In fact, actually, they found out that these workers actually ate pretty good, actually. A lot of the times they would actually have these they would actually have like these villages dedicated to the workers who actually built the pyramids. and they found like bread bowls or bread jars and animal bones. Like they ate pretty well, which is again a very common misconception about slavery in ancient Egypt. It's kind of weird. But honestly, I know we were going to play Mouse P.I. But I think I'm going to swap that for tomorrow. Right? I'm going to swap that because all we really did was just react today, which is fine because we were going to do this anyways tomorrow. So I do apologize for that. But no, I think this is actually where we're going to probably put a cap on it tonight. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Get a little sleepy. And I want to kind of like unwind for a little bit. But no, so tomorrow, instead of chatting and reacting, well, we'll probably do that because it's, you know, Saturday, but still. But yeah, so if anything, I'll probably stream early tomorrow just to make up for it. But yeah, definitely we're going to play Mouse P.I. tomorrow. Just to kind of like make up for today. Hang on real quick. There we go. So, like I know we were supposed to. Oh, there we go. I know we were supposed to play. We were supposed to play Mouse P.I. But yeah, no. That's kind of where we're gonna put a little bit of a cap in it tonight. But definitely tomorrow we are gonna make up for this by streaming just a little bit longer than normal, which is fine. Again, you know, it's Saturday. Oh, and also something I just discovered while I was getting something to drink. I just found out that the pre-order window for the Dyreno, aka the Thunder Megazord, is out right now, and Jesus, I cannot wait for it to be knocked off because it is expensive. It is very expensive. In fact, actually, let me show you real quick. Okay. Yeah, so this is the Thunderzord Megazord, or the Thunder Megazord, or if you watch Die Ranger, this is Dyreno. And oh yeah, that's expensive. That is very, very expensive. So this looks nice, right? This looks nice and dandy and all that stuff, right? It looks really good, right? Right. It's really good, right? That price tag. So that's on Big Bad Toy Store, and that is 419 buckaroos with an $84 deposit. An $84 deposit for this. That is crazy. That is genuinely fucking crazy. And don't get me wrong, and hot take, an absolute hot take here. I do kind of prefer Dyreno over Daijujin. And don't get me wrong, I like Daijujin, but I really just like the aesthetic of Dyreno a little bit more. Mainly just because Dyreno is not shoved in my face all the fucking time. Yeah, no, it looks really good though. It looks really, 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 really good. So we have the dragon, we have Ho-Oh, Tenma, Shishi, Kirin. So that means One Tiger is not too far. And that looks really good. That genuinely looks really, really good. So that is so that's something that's really interesting. So, so this right here, the quote unquote Griffin Thunderzord. So this is, so in the Japanese version, this is not a Griffin. This is actually a Kirin. And you can clearly see this in the design. I don't know many Griffins that have a single horn, prominent ears, a dragon-shaped head, and teeth. But I also understand they had to make it into something, right? They had to turn it into something because most American children aren't going to know what a Kirin is. They're going to understand that this is a unicorn, which is funny because in the Japanese, this is a Pegasus, right? So this right here is a Pegasus. This is technically a unicorn because Kirins are like the Chinese variant of a unicorn. But yeah, no, nearly $500 fucking dollars. That's a lot to sell. I'm not gonna lie. That is a lot to sell. That's a lot to buy. And I personally, I like Dyreno, but I'm not, you know, $500. I'm gonna buy Dyreno. That is, that's way too much for me. I'm just gonna wait for the knockoff. I'm definitely gonna have to wait for the knockoff. But yeah, so that's where we're gonna end it here for the night, everybody. Thank you all for joining me on my soft-ish kind of debut. Right? Thank you for joining me for like my kind of sort of debut. Because so the rigging for this model, right? The rigging was actually done a week ago. So this was done like a week ago. I just, out of manners, I told Nyx, yeah, no, thank you for stopping by. But yeah, so the rigging for this was done like a week ago. And I was playing with it. I was making, you know, posts about it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I love teaching people about dinosaurs. Like, it's really fun. But I told Nyx, and I told some other people, like the Velociraptor twins, because I showed them the rigging for this. And I told them, I'm like, look, out of, you know, because I'm a gentleman and I like to consider myself a little bit of a professional, is that I cannot stream with this until it's fully paid off, because Nyx just like dropped this. Like, as soon as she was done with this, she was just like, here you go, here's the model. And I'm like, I haven't fully paid you yet. Why are you giving me this early? And her response was just, tee. Like, no. Look, no. Let me pay you first. Then send me the model. Because I feel bad that it's not fully paid. Because like, it's like, for all you know, I'm just gonna be like, all right, so long, thanks for all the fish. I'm just gonna go stream with this now and not fully pay it off. It's like, no. Let me pay it off first, and then I get to play with my new toy. And I swear to God, if Jackie, the one who's gonna be rigging my T-Rex model, if she sits there and goes like, "Here you go, Grawl. Here's your T-Rex model," I'm like, I'm gonna beat you with a boot. I'm gonna beat you with a boot. It's like, let me pay you first for your hard work and effort before I have a fucking aneurysm. But no, like, no, I love them. I always love working with these people. Like, I genuinely loved working with like Nyx and Jackie and Yell and stuff like that. But no, they're all amazing people. They're all really amazing people. They're all very talented. And I am just beyond happy that that this turned out really, really good. Like, Nyx could have just sat there and be like, okay, I need $1,000. It's like, do you take payment plans? Do you take credit cards? Okay, but you know what? Actually, let's raid into Wild Spice. She's doing a collab. But yeah, so tomorrow we are gonna go and we are gonna play Mouse P.I. To make up for today. If my computer would like to load. So let me see here. So let's do Wild Spice. We're all gonna go say hi to the #1 McDonald's employee. And now the other thing though is she is doing a collab, and she did promise everyone who raids her today will get a free McFlurry from the McDonald's she works at. True story, everybody. True story. I'm not lying. I'm such a dick. But yes, everyone, I will be back tomorrow with Mouse P.I. So I'll catch you all later, and let's go say hi to the Goomba.